Are we on? Can't tell. I guess we're on. I guess we're live. Boy, that camera lens is really kind of crappy. I got to figure out a way to shoot this on a better camera. We're live. Crazy, huh? So, while we're waiting on some audience, I got some updates. Because y'all know I'm working on a lot of stuff. So, when we last departed, she was all but a lass. Never mind all this crazy wiring. That's just rough in. I make my wires too long for rough. What I wanted to show y'all was the crystal chamber. So this is, of course, the Phoenix prop, 7 chambers, Star Killer, and custom weathered. But I added the proplicators insert, the brass insert. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see that or not. And it kind of makes that crystal chamber a little less plain. But I've also added the Darth Chasm conduit and actually run some wires through there. And my switches are in. And of course the wires and speaker and everything are in. We're ready to install this saber. So the install is probably going to happen tonight. Profi 2.2 going in here. Second is this saber. This piece of junk Ultra Sabers grab bag saber, which right now is just a single Cree in-hilt piece of crap. Basically, I bought some shroud material from the custom saber shop for MHS, and the cool part about MHS shroud is it almost fits over Ultra Sabers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a piece of shroud, and it's going to start back here behind this button and go up front over the top. And then on that shroud, probably about here, I'm going to use this switch box, and then I have this switch box lid from the custom saber shop. So it'll be two 12 millimeter illuminated. Hey, Bone Church, what's up? This will have two 12 millimeter illuminated switches in there. Of course, you'll be shrouded here, and there'll be a recharge port in the back there. That's the plan for that saber. And then I just wanted to show this thing off again. Ultra Sabers. This is their Blind Knight Kanan Jarrus saber, and it's pretty cool. I wanted you guys to see that. This is going to be getting Profi as well. I may do single switch Profi on this one, but I wanted you guys to see it again. I've done it on showed it on one of my first live videos, but wanted you guys to see it. And then lastly, I guess for updates is, of course the chassis comes sliding out, right? Bam. So there is the crossguard, and it is also ready to install. This is the actual chassis that the board's going to be in, and you can see kind of my crazy wiring. So these 3 wires go to the right quillion, and then these 3 wires go to the main blade, and then these 3 wires go to the left quillion, and I have them all labeled. I'll be commenting up all the positives in the hilt, and then the only thing that'll run back to the board is 1 common positive, the negative from each NeoPixel, and the data line, because I'll have 3 separate data lines on this one. So it's going to be cool. That way you can control, you can make 1 quillion red, 1 quillion green, and the saber do something else crazy. So it's kind of cool. And then the other bunch of wires is my switch bundle here. Green, white, and yellow. That's my switches. Green is main, yellow is aux, white is common ground. So this one's wired main switch here, aux switch here, and the common ground is shared between them. So this saber is also ready to install. Here's the battery sled for that Kylo hilt. But at any rate, so I hope to have 2 installed sabers done tonight, and that'll be awesome. Also at about 8:30 tonight on YouTube, I'm going to be dropping a better video of NeoPixel blade durability tests, and shot it on my GoPro. At least it was a little bit more daylight, so it's a little bit more visible than the last one. And also I pulled the kill key out of the saber, so we didn't have any kill key initiated shutoffs like we did on the live video. Thanks, Tim. Tim Marshall's watching. Tim Marshall, the funny thing, you know, y'all know that I collect Megtooth. Let me go get one. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Stand by, everybody. I should have found my arrowhead before I went live, Tim. But yeah, you know, I collect megalodon teeth. This is, you know, one of my teeth. I find them scuba diving here offshore in Wilmington, hence why Megtooth Seth sabers. But yeah, Tim is a fellow relic hunter up in the Chesapeake Bay, which is pretty cool because, you know, I grew up there. It's funny because he lives on Smith Island, and you know, my family settled Tillman Island in the Chesapeake Bay, and it's pretty cool. I hope to someday meet Tim. I'm definitely going to be building a saber for Tim. Hey, Mike, how are you doing? So, I don't know. Basically, I don't know if this one's going to be long tonight or what, but I've got that take 2 of the NeoPixel blade durability test coming out tonight, and you know, some updates on some sabers that are ready to go. If y'all missed it, there's the Phoenix Prop 7 chambers. Now, look, I know this chassis is gold. It won't be. It'll be all rusty when I'm done with it, but the initial coat on it is gold. That thing's going to be awesome. So, well, my plan is for this one, it's going to be Profi 2.2, and of course, there's a cover that goes over the Profi in here, and I think I'm going to put some NeoPixel accents here, that maybe a battery meter or something. I'm not sure. Of course, this one has an on-off switch here, and it has a 1.3 millimeter recharge port there, and the custom Saber Shop 18650 15 amp cut off battery right there. So this is a permanently installed battery, semi-permanent. I mean, you'll still be able to get it out and replace it, but the way I wired it is I always try to leave enough slack wire that you can yank the battery and replace the battery. And also, if the speaker blows, you can yank the speaker and replace the speaker. The cool part is, like, one of my biggest customers in Hong Kong, you know, and I guess this is as good a time as any to talk about this. So these were like my go-to speakers, the TCS wows. And I think these speakers are the bomb. They're number one. They sound the best, but they blow. Not all of them blow, but some of them. So there's some inconsistency in the manufacturing process. I still think these speakers sound the best of any speakers I've tried. In my personal sabers, this is the speaker that goes in there. But if if I don't you know, I don't care about having to replace my speakers because it's easy. But for a customer, you know, particularly, I had 2 of these WOW speakers go. One, well, actually, they were both in DB6s from a customer in Hong Kong, and you know, fortunately, he had some soldering skills, and I was able to talk him how to remove the speaker, and I leave enough speaker wire in there so he could pull the speaker out. And his soldering skills were decent enough. Hey, Tony Singh, if you watch this, his soldering skills were decent enough that he was able to actually solder in a new speaker to replace that TCS, well, both the TCS wows and his DV6s, which was disappointing. And then another one of my good customers, Andrew Paul, and Andy's always all over the lightsaber pages, so I know you've seen him. I did a Graflex, the Teensy Saber Graflex for him, and same deal. So he had just Andy just sent his saber back to me to upgrade it with mainly some new fonts. But then while I had it, I put color changing and all kinds of other crazy stuff on the Teensy Saber that was incredible. And I also added that TCS WOW speaker and cranked the volume, and my God, that saber was loud. I'm pretty sure I published videos of that on YouTube. If not, I definitely did on Facebook, but the thing was killer loud, crazy loud. I think most of the video updates I did on that saber were like on my live videos on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, he got his saber and he wheeled it around for a couple of months in Kansas. He lives in Kansas, near Kansas City, and his TCS WOW blade speaker went too. So yeah, the TCS WOW speakers are, you know, a little disappointing. Yeah, Tim, the funny part about this tooth, you know, you and I were talking about hunting on the phone. we were out on a ledge that was about 110 feet deep, and the only thing of this tooth that you could see was that. It was sticking up just like that. And I was like, looky there, that looks like a tooth. And I grabbed it and wiggled it out of the sand. And as it kept coming, I was like, oh my God. And the funny thing is, nobody else on the boat found a tooth that day on that ledge, but I found this whopper. And, you know, that's a good 5.5, 6 inch tooth. Thing is awesome. But yeah, that's a story behind that tooth. I'll never forget that day. It was a fun day, artifact hunting. But yeah, I have you know, I have a lot of sabers coming out. I'm really hoping that you know, I do have some time off work coming, unless, you know, crazy stuff like people kill each other happens, which hopefully they don't. Everybody needs to, when you say your prayers tonight, pray for peace in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's what I'm praying for. Peace in Wilmington, North Carolina. Don't kill each other in Wilmington. That's what I'm hoping for. But at any rate, you know, as long as I get some days off here around Thanksgiving, then I anticipate both the cross guard and uh, the, the Star Killer hilts to be done. And, you know, shoot demo vids for them, publish them on YouTube, and they'll be for sale up on YouTube. I think I'm willing to sell the Star Killer without a blade, but the cross guard is going to include, you know, the 3 blades, the quillions, which are Proplicator quillions. It'll be these quillions. In fact, there's one with a blade end in it right there. The Proplicator quillions, and these are 7/8. And then of course the main blade guard, which, you know, slides down the 1-inch blade and sits at the base of the saber, like this, and it just helps accent. Aloha, Peter. Just helps accent the you know, how it looks at the base of the blade. But at any rate, that's the plan on that. So hopefully that cross guard will be ready to go here in about a week and a half or so. I plan on installing the cross guard and the and the um, the Star Killer tonight. So it's going to be a late night. Megtooth is going to be up all night long. The funny thing was when I got my package from KR Sabers with the Profi 2.2s in it. The I'd taken it in my backpack over to my girlfriend's house, and I actually left them on her counter. So tonight I have to, once I finish this live stream, I got to jump in the car and go over and see her, which, you know, it never bothers me to go see my girlfriend because, no offense, y'all, but you know, getting hugged and kissed by my girlfriend is a lot better than building lightsabers. But I got to get these sabers built, got to get them to market. Yeah, Tim, you know, a little bit is all it takes, and I'm finding teeth. Definitely got an eye for it. So, you know, I got some of the earlier members that were on board the live stream, they saw it. But I'm dropping another video at 8:30 p.m. tonight. Hopefully, if all that premiere stuff works out. There's another new improved lightsaber NeoPixel blade durability test that I shot on my Dark Force Sabers Transcendence, which it's right over here. So let me go get it. Look out, Risky. My dog's laying precariously, dangerously close to my cord of my computer, so I hope he doesn't wipe my computer out here. That's a good boy. He's in all my videos. But at any rate, there's my Dark Force Sabers Transcendent Saber that I did the blade durability test with. What was happening is it has a twisting kill key in it.
The saber is initializing. Done.
And what was happening, you can see where I've been whacking it on the tree today. It's got all new bark scars on it. It's got bark all over it. I broke another 1x with it too. But that blade is still 100% A-okay. But there, it just happened. So what was happening when I was hitting the tree in that live video is this kill key was twisting, and it was shutting off power to the saber. So when I took the kill key out, then that didn't happen anymore. So That's pretty cool. You know what the funny thing is? So this saber has color changing. So I did the blade test with my color changing saber, but I mean, as you can see, that blade's still kicking now. I did use some packing tape on the tip to keep the tip from blowing off, but other than that, it's just a thick walled NeoPixel blade, and everybody's like, what's a thick wall? Well, it's made from the custom saber shop, clear thick walled blade stock. I make the blades. When choosing a hilt, what's the best way for choosing the right chassis? That's always the question of the day. You know, I'm a big fan of Shapeways chassis. You know, I don't have my own 3D printer. A 3D printer is something I would love to get, but I don't have one right now. But there are, you know, a couple of big engineers that make really good 3D chassis for most saber hilts. And that's Rick Rio or Darth Rio. And he runs Goth 3D Designs. And then you also have Dimitri Stock with Stock Custom Works. He also does quite a few chassis that are available on Shapeways. Those are really good. They make really, really, really good chassis for most of the sabers. And as a matter of fact, on this Star Killer, this is a Goth 3D Designs. You can see Goth 3 Designs right there. And I ordered this chassis on Shapeways. And when I got it, it came in white. And of course, you know, it's a perfect fit inside the saber too. And it's a perfect fit. The lower fits perfectly over it. I've already built 2 of these. There's video on my YouTube channels where you can watch the functionality of this thing. But it's an awesome chassis and it's ready to roll. And what will happen is, I know it looks crazy right now with all these long wires sticking out of it, but basically those wires are just too long. All you're going to see of the wires is what you see right there. The rest of these wires will just go to the Profi and they'll all be cut to length. And I can tell you that, you know, about that much of all those wires is going to get cut off, because it's only going to be just what I need to go into the Profi that's left here. And the Profi will sit right here. And this, you know, soundboard, Darth Rio actually made that to work with a Profi. So it's really cool. Now, you know, a lot of generic sabers, like for ultra sabers. So when I do this Cane and Jarrus, and also when I do this custom saber shop bastardization of this Ultra Sabers hilt. You know, I told you I'm going to put this switch box on here, and there's going to be some shroud there. It's going to be awesome. But at any rate, you're going to have activation, and you know, this box will actually be, you know, somewhere around right in there. But there'll be, you know, activation and auxiliary in this box. But the cool thing about these Ultra Saber hilts is they're custom saber shop compatible. So you can use anything. In fact, this pommel, because the pommel that came with this saber was solid, it won't let sound out. So I ordered this pommel from the custom saber shop because it kind of matches the lines on the saber. And of course, I have a, you know, a grill for it. I just haven't put it in yet. But the cool part about these Ultra Sabers is that the custom saber shop's MH6 V6 chassis fits perfectly into Ultra Saber hilts. Now that one's got the piece of crap battery sled in it, but we'll show you this Cane and Jarrus. So the Cane and Jarrus is, you know, totally empty, but this is a custom saber shop modular hilt system V6 chassis, which can also hold an 18650 sled, and it pops right in there. And when you screw in the pommel, it actually locks in the chassis, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Ooh, look out, pommel just went flying across the room. So these MHS V6 chassis are really awesome. And another thing about the V6 chassis is that, let me find one here. On the MHS V6 chassis, you can buy an 18650 battery sled, also from the custom saber shop. And the 18650 battery sled, let me make sure I'm putting the positive forward. The 18650 battery sled just sits right in here like this. And bada bing, you have a user changeable battery. There's a bunch of cool videos on the Custom Saver Shop about how to make these MHS V6 chassis so they're really slick. Let me show you another thing I do if I can find some. If I have some tubing, I'm looking for my T8. Oh, there's some right back here. You always know I have some T8 tubing laying around. So this is T8 tubing that you can buy at Home Depot and Lowe's, and it goes around basically around the T8 neon bulbs. And what I do with these MHS V6 chassis is I take this tubing and then I'll cut it with scissors here, and then I will slide this over the chassis, and it protects the battery and the soundboard from contacting anything in the hilt. And then when you slide your chassis out, you just slide this T8 tubing into the Saber, and then you have access to your SD card and programming port on your Profi or Nano Biscotti or whatever board you're using. And you can also I typically put some ribbon on this that goes underneath the battery, so you can tug on the ribbon and pop your battery right out, your 18650 battery right out of here. Now this also holds your speaker, so your speaker goes right here, and there's wire routes for your speaker, and a negative wire and a positive wire all in here. So then you just run all your other Saber wires from your LED module or your NeoPixel module and your switches in through here, and run them up through here and then onto your soundboard. So to me, the MHS V6 chassis, if you're looking for an all-in-one chassis that works with most Sabers, doesn't work with all, but it works with most. This is a really good economical solution that can be a chassis for almost any Saber. I also use these MHS V6 chassis on all of my master replica conversions. And, in fact, the one Saber you just, it was on my last live video. It was like an Anakin ROTS. Hey, Juan Carlos, good to see you too. On my Anakin ROTS master replica, well, it's not mine. The Saber actually belongs to Kenya Thompson, which arrived at her apartment today, and I'm really anxious for her to open it and see it and everything. Oh yeah, I'm glad I can share all this stuff with you. Is the Kanan Jarrus lightsaber heavy? You've been thinking about getting one of those. It is heavy. A lot of people complain about the Ultra Sabers, that they're big and heavy and they're glorified flashlights. Hang on a second. Let me go get the pommel and roll across the room. Is it heavy? Yeah, and once it's installed, it's going to be a lot heavier. There it is with the pommel on it. But I love this hilt. I think Ultra Sabers did a fantastic job on it. And of course, I ordered mine with the circuit etching on it because I think that's really cool. It's not canon, it's not, doesn't look like it did in Rebels or anything, but still, it's a cool Saber. I like this design. So I know there's a lot of Ultra Saber and Saber Forge hate, but there's certainly, Sabers that are made by Saber Forge and Ultra Sabers that I like. I tend to prefer Ultra Sabers, empty hilts, because they're easy for me to install using the MHS V6 chassis, and I can add my own pommels onto their cheaper Sabers and make them better. So I tend to kind of, if I'm going to go to one of those companies, I tend to prefer Ultra Sabers. But with that being said, if you look at my lightsaber collection, you're not going to see an Ultra Saber or a Saber Forge. Most of my lightsabers in my personal collection are either made by me out of MHS, stuff like this is, some of my test bed experimental stuff that I'm always working on with MHS. I either make my own sabers out of MHS, or I'm using replicas like, from Corbant or 89 Sabers, or Phoenix props. I like the replica sabers. I'm an OT guy. I have made, my own sabers. If y'all haven't seen my Darth Nihilus, I've done 2 versions of Darth Nihilus, both with modular hilt system from the Custom Saber Shop. And now those sabers are humongous, but man, that Darth Nihilus hilt is awesome. If you haven't seen my Darth Nihilus hilt, it's on my YouTube page on the Custom Saber installs, and I think I bumped it, so it's like one of the first in the series there. But yeah, I mean that Kanan Jarrus hilt is heavy, but it's pretty. I like it. It's going to be a cool saber, and I'm really thinking that I'm going to put Profi in that Kanan Jarrus, and I'm going to put the Crystal Focus. I'm going to put the Crystal Focus 10 in this saber, with the shroud and the switch box #1 on it. This will be the switch box that goes on top of that saber. So that saber, from Ultra Sabers, that grab bag stunt saber, I'm going to turn it into a Crystal Focus custom saber shop mashup kind of thing. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm actually looking forward to that project, but I won't get to that till next year. Right now, my main focus is on the Star Killer and the Cross Guard, so I can go ahead and get these on the market and get them sold and get them out of here. Both those have been a headache for me for a couple of months, and I've been doing saber builds in between, but these are like personal builds that I like doing. And at this point, I'm just building them and selling them. I did order another Star Killer hilt from Saber Royale. Saber Royale did a run of Star Killers, and I got one of those on order. We're going to see how that goes. Um, but I may keep a Star Killer if I like that one from Saber Royale. If I don't like that one from Saber Royale, I'll just install it and sell it off. And to be honest with y'all, I think I'd be happier with a Star Killer if I scratch build it from a Graflex 2.0, like I've seen Joe Wren doing. I think he's like Dark Side Custom Sabers or something like that. But Joe Wren's like all over all the Facebook groups. He makes some killer Graflex 2.0 cut up Star Killers that are really awesome. Also, SA2CC Matt McGreary, he just made a killer Star Killer hilt that's all cut up. He posted on the Custom Saber Shop and I think the Star Killer group on Facebook, and he did a really good job on that. So I think if I do keep a Star Killer, it might be one that I build myself, because I enjoy cutting these things up and making them more personal. But lots of cool stuff happening. Everybody, has everybody seen the Mandalorian? I think I've seen episode 3. I think like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. Just saw Corbant displaying a weathered fallen Jedi saber. Think might do one. I actually saw that fallen Jedi saber. I might do one. I'm not really big into the video game sabers. The only reason I did Nihilus is because there are so many Nihilus costumes in the 501st Legion, and a bunch of those guys really weren't happy with the sabers that were out there. And I went ahead and did a custom MHS Nihilus, and I've done 2 of them now. I actually posted my first one that I did on the Megtooth Sith Facebook page today, and I built that one almost 2 years ago, but it was still pretty cool. Because I know I really didn't come into being known for anything until 2017. But I mean, I've been building sabers quite a while, but it was mainly just for people in my garrison, and that's how all this kind of got out of control. Is I've gone from building sabers for my fellow 501st Legion members in Carolina Garrison to, installing and selling sabers for, I mean, even one of my customers is in Hong Kong. It's just crazy. Yeah, the Mandalorian for me, it feels like Star Wars. I love, I don't want to do any spoilers in here. I just wanted to talk to y'all and see what you guys thought about it. But man, that Mandalorian is a great show. They got to get those. They got to get those the dolls from that to market like now. It's really important. The Mandalorian's just been an awesome show. Really feels Star Wars. It's the most Star Wars thing since Rogue One. I was a huge fan of Rogue One. I know there's still a lot of naysayers about Rogue One on the internet, but to me, my favorite movies of all time are probably A New Hope, because It was the first one I saw it in the theater when I was a young kid, so that will always be my favorite Star Wars movie. Second is Empire, and third is Rogue One. And then fourth is probably Revenge of the Sith, mainly for Mustafar, but I didn't like the rest of the movie. But ever since I was a kid, been dreaming about what that scene would look like when Obi and Anakin were dueling. And then probably after Revenge of the Sith, it's Return of the Jedi. And then probably The Phantom Menace and maybe TFA before Phantom Menace. I don't know. See the Lenovo site coming out with a Mandalorian helmet. Very expensive. Yeah, a Novos probably makes the best Kylo Ren helmet out on the market. And they had been advertising they were building a Vader kit that was going to be for sale for years. And then so many guys put money into a Novos, and they've been really disappointed. I'm just telling you guys, I've seen a lot of disappointment in a Novos on the 501st Legion. Actually, my Kylo Ren helmet that I made for my costume is actually a Black Series Disney mod. And on my scuba diving YouTube channel, which was my first YouTube channel, which is FPSN Diver, I showed you all that link last week. I had the videos on that page where I actually made my Black Series Disney modified Kylo Ren helmet, and then I custom painted the grill on the Kylo Ren helmet and weathered it so it looked. I modeled it after the Anovos. So while I think Anovos make some really good stuff that's very expensive, they've also let down a lot of customers. So I tend to shy away from Anovos. But with that being said, I'm not afraid to model something after Anovos. But I think there's a lot of really cool ways to get a Mando helmet without going to Anovos. The funny thing is most 501st Legion members, if you guys could see how a Stormtrooper helmet starts out, it's just vacuum molded thin plastic, and you glue it all together and insert the foam and insert the pads and electronics and fans and paint. And by the time you finish with that plain plastic injection or vacuum molded helmet, you have what feels like a heavy helmet, but it's really not. They're really flimsy. The armor's really flimsy for that matter. By the way, I'm building my armor. If I can ever get through with these sabers, I got armor that I'm going to build. The one thing that there's a big project I have to work on before I can get to these Ultra sabers is I have a Boba Fett EE3 blaster. And I don't know if anybody's following it on the TRA, but Propazoron and Deodad Jason they're working on a blaster prop file for Profi 1.5 and Profi 2.2. And I'm going to actually use Profi in that EE3 blaster. And I've got I think it's a red, blue Tricree LED that's going to be the main blast flash. And then I'm going to use NeoPixels to propagate the shot down the barrel. So it'll look like the shot's being propagated down the barrel. And I may actually do dual speakers on that install. I'm still looking for bigger forum speakers that'll fit in this EE3. So I want this damn thing to be loud. The guy that I'm building this EE3 for, I've already built an EE3 for him, and I used Plector Labs Blaster Core 5.0. And I was just disappointed in the volume. I like the functionality, but the volume on that one wasn't loud enough. But I want something to be louder. So this new EE3 that I'm installing, which, one of the things I want to get these sabers done this weekend in the blades form so I can get to my bench setup on that EE3 so I can test, the new blaster functionality on Profi. So, Frederick's already adapted the Profi to do the thermal detonator, and he got one of the thermal detonator kits from KR Sabers, and he used the Profi to do cool stuff in that. And I'm trying to do the Profi on the EE3 blaster for Boba Fett. Saw modded Ruby's Mando Fett look pretty good. It's also a Fett Black Series that looks really cool. You know, some of the Black Series stuff isn't that bad. I mean, the Black Series Kylo, um, you know, there were some errors in it. The two-piece helmet was kind of befuddling. The the speaker, the voice changer thing that was in it was up on top of your head. Um, I don't know why they did that because when you wore the helmet, the eye holes were actually up above your eyes because the helmet sat too high. So when I redid my helmet, I took all the electronic crap out of the Black Series so that the helmet sits down on my head so that my eye was, you know, at the eye hole level. That was a huge complaint I had with the Kylo Black Series, and that, and then having to make it from a two-piece helmet into a one-piece helmet with plastic welding and Bondo and fiberglass. Um, it was a huge mess, but you know, the base of the Black Series was a good thing, but it needed a lot of mods. I know the Black Series Darth Vaders will not work for the 500 First Legion, but I would imagine the Boba Fett helmets probably with some mods, rubies. I've seen a rubies Boba Fett helmet, and it would take a lot of mod work, but you can make it work. You could turn it into that's the funny thing. You know, most of these guys are in the 501st Legion. I know Juan Carlos is in the Legion, but most of these guys are in the Legion that are building their own stuff. They're really creative with what they can do with stuff you can buy at the store. And by the time they, you know, go out to get approved or they're wearing it to troops, they're nowhere near what you buy in the store. They basically resculpt them. A lot of Bondo, a lot of body filler, a lot of changing, a lot of different lenses. You know, people like I tore the lenses out of my Kylo Ren helmet and found this mesh silk material that hides your eyes, but you can see through it. But people looking from the outside can't see your eyes, but you can see through it. You can't see well through it, but you can see through it. There's a lot of cool things I did in my Kylo Ren helmet. Hang on a second. I'll go get it. Don't go anywhere. It was actually close. This is my Kylo Ren helmet for the 501st. It was a Black Series, and basically, oops, it's all cracked there. I took the jawline out of a Disney mask and welded it to the Black Series mask, and then I also used the Disney faceplates. And you know, I added the you guys see my ugliness in there. I added this mesh material instead of the lens that was in there, and then of course I weathered the helmet and weathered it here to match the Anovos. And that is my Kylo Ren bucket, custom made from a Black Series and Disney mod. I got videos up on the YouTube about it. Hey, Saber fans! So anyway, yeah, that's my 501st Legion Kylo Ren helmet. It's pretty sweet. But big changes from the Black Series. Like the Black Series, the mouthpiece was out like way further and it didn't look right. And the jawline was really wide here. So on the Black Series, the jawline's like out here and it didn't look right. But on the Disney, it pulls it in, pulls this jawline in where it looks narrower, and you get these flares out here on the side of the helmet, which look really cool. And then, you know, of course, it was a two-piece bucket, and then I had to meld it, and you can see the battery hatch isn't even on there anymore. I got rid of the battery hatch, and then all the electronic crap that was inside of here, I got rid of it. So that's my Kylo Ren bucket for the 501st Legion. Um, pretty cool helmet. Yeah. You know, for what I paid for it, you know, these guys were paying $700-800 for a Kylo Ren helmet from a Novos, and you know, I went out and bought the Black Series for like $70 and the Disney mask for like $20, and a lot of labor, a whole weekend of work, and turn the the two things into one to make you know, one cool Kylo Ren helmet. Let me see if I can look out, Risky. Let me see if I can find something. No. Yeah, I'll have to do it on the next live video. But the cool part about the when I did that is I came up with, I took what was left of the Disney helmet and the parts that I cut off the Black Series helmet, and I I put them together and turned it into like a Disney modified Kylo Ren mask that came out pretty cool. And you know, you can do a lot of cool things when you get creative. But I published all the stuff that I did to these helmets on the Sith Lord detachment of the 501st Legion, and you know, a lot of work went into making these helmets what they are for sure. This helmet was actually got damaged. So my house got hit by a tornado during Hurricane Florence, and so my house lifted up off the ground, and you know, it knocked a bunch of stuff off the shelf, including my Kylo Ren helmet. And my Kylo Ren helmet took a pretty bad tumble during Hurricane Florence, and I've tried to do some repairs to it, but eventually, you know, this sucker's definitely seen some wear and tear. But yeah, I like more than just lightsabers for sure. The Boba Fett Black Series outside sculpt and paint is really good, but interior looks like crap. Kind of good looking for display. Yeah, you know, most of the Rubies and Black Series helmets are like that. You know, they can look good on the outside from some angles, but once you start scrutinizing them, they really have a lot of problems that need to be fixed. I love the Kylo Ren helmet design too. It was one of my big arguments with Force Awakens and The Last Jedi is that they kept taking Kylo's helmet off. And I was like, the hell are y'all doing? You know, I mean, I get that it's Adam Driver and they want people to see his face, but you know, I think part of what made Darth Vader so mysterious, you know, in the original trilogy was that he never took his helmet off. And, you know, in this latest trilogy is like Kylo's helmet was off more than it was on. I guess they were showing off his face. But it didn't, I thought it took an aura of mystery away from Kylo Ren's character when they unhelmeted him. You know, I think the only time Kylo Ren should have been unhelmeted was, you know, probably when he had the confrontation with his dad, you know, on the Death Star, whatever the hell that was. I can't remember what it was called right now. Star Killer Base. But other than that, he should have had his helmet on. And there's, you know, when Snoke said, "Take off that stupid mask," you know, I thought that was dumb. I was like, "What do you mean, take off the mask?" Like, you know, he's a Sith, or he's supposed to be a Sith. Let him keep the freaking mask on. He's trying to be like his father. Leave him alone. You know, let my people go. Let Kylo Ren be Kylo Ren. Stop trying to turn him into some pretty boy, whatever. Leave him be. I don't want to gripe about the movies, but I just thought Kylo should have kept his helmet on, mainly because I think the helmet was cool. What else? You guys got any other questions going about lightsabers or anything? Did so my video, my second NeoPixel durability test video should publish at 8:30 p.m. or so on my YouTube channel, and I filmed the first one with this camera on my computer, which is crappy. The quality on it sucks. I mean, as you can see, it sucks. It's low quality. I need to get a better camera to hook it up to my computer to do these. I probably need a microphone too. So the microphone on this computer, on the lightsaber hums, if you ever notice when I'm doing live videos, the hum disappears. And it's because my microphone interprets the hum as background noise and filters it out. You know, if it hears a droning noise, it's a filtering microphone, which then it makes it sound like my lightsabers aren't working, but they are. Just the microphone on this computer filters it out. So one of the things I think Megtooth Sith needs for Christmas is a better camera and microphone to shoot live videos with. And I don't want a noise canceling microphone, but you know, got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, my Profi install videos are still on YouTube. Now my programming videos need updating, but the sound is okay, but it filters out the uh, filters out the filters out the noise. My Profi install videos are still on YouTube, and yeah, they're still relevant. But my programming videos are so out of date now because Profi just turns. In fact, right now, as we are talking right now on the TRA, Frederick's doing so much stuff to the operating system right now. So what Frederick's doing to the operating system right now, you'll be able to take CFX sound font and dump it into your SD card, and the Profi will be able to run it. That's the kind of work Frederick does. The guy's a freaking genius. Um, and of course, he put his own spin on color changing. I don't think he really liked what SA2CC did. So he did his own color changing, and you get the color changing by rotating the saber, just like on CFX. And I actually thought that how SA2CC implemented color changing by swinging the blade was actually unique. So what he did is, when you ignite the saber, you press power and aux, and that gets you into color changing mode. And then you just swing the saber, and you get, color changing. So the SA2CC fork, which is the one I use for color changing, was the only way to get color changing with Profi. Well, Frederick saw what Matt McGrory and Fernando DeRosa and everybody were working on, and I think he finally understood the massive demand for color changing on Profi, but he wanted to do it his own way, and so he did. And so on the new version of the Profi OS, to change colors, once you put it in color changing mode, you're going to rotate the saber, and the saber changes colors for every degree of turn you get for it. Yeah, Juan, the microphone is okay for chat, but it isn't good for lightsabers. Watch. When I ignite this saber, you'll hear it ignite and you'll hear the hum, but then the hum will disappear. And I can't tell. I mean, you guys tell me, is the hum going to disappear? Because the hum's still going right now. See, the hum's still going, but my guess is the microphone drowned it out. That's where this microphone's no good. Like to see some more installs. Yeah, I'll yeah, the hum's not gone, Peter. It's it's there. The microphone on this computer filters it out. So everybody's like, yeah, your lightsabers don't work. So it's not good shooting live videos on this camera, because then it makes it sound like my hum turns off, but my hum isn't turning off. The hum's still playing on that the whole time. It just, the computer filters it out, thinks it's noise. Michael Dallin states he'd like to see some more installs, more install videos. I do have a full Profi install video into an OWK that was modified. Yeah, I really wish I would have shot some videos while I'm installing this Phoenix crop saber. About how I did all that, but on the other hand, yeah, the hum disappears. Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what. Since I announced on YouTube Live, my first YouTube Live video, that I was going to be installing these two sabers, I think what I'll do is I'll shoot videos of the CFX install into this saber and the Profi install into this saber, so you guys can, number one, see how I install and how my thought process works. Now, I probably won't do them live because my cameras for live really stink, but I'll videotape them on my I have a scope camera and my YouTube, and we'll try to do those, but that probably won't be until next year. Like I said, I'm going to finish this Star Killer and the cross guard, which these installs will be happening tonight. And I know this is a mess, but it's not really as big of a mess as it looks. But I will get to those installs tonight. And once I do those installs, then I have to do that EE3 blaster, which right now we're working on the TRA on the programming for those blasters. But once I get the blaster done, then I'll work on these two sabers and get them installed. And I'm probably going to be selling both of these. This one will have crystal focus 10 neopixel. This one will have Profi probably 1.5 neopixels. And I'll probably end up selling both of these sabers. But I'll go ahead and try to shoot the video when I'm doing both of those, which is going to be scary shooting the CFX video because I've never even installed a CFX. But I have one, so I'm getting ready to be installing a CFX here shortly. That's going to be happening. After the operating system with color changes released, do we know if SA2CC will still release his forks? If so, how would one decide between Frederick color change and the SA2CC color change? That is the question of the day, Double X. So pretty much for about a year, I have not been running Frederick's main operating system. I've been running Matt McGrory's fork of Frederick's operating system. And will SA2CC still release a fork? I would imagine that Matt's probably going to keep his fork going because he has so much invested in it. How will we decide between Frederick's and Matt's? Well, that is going to be the question of the day. Matt kind of was a big, huge Plector Labs guy, and he really liked the functionality of Plector Labs. But Frederick has adapted so much of what Matt put into his fork that I don't even know if Matt will still have a fork that's all that different from Frederick. I need to probably talk to Matt and Fernando and find out what their thinking is. But the latest threads that I see on the TRA seem to indicate to me that both Fernando DeRosa, who's the blade style genius, and Matt McGrory are, for the most part, pretty happy with how Frederick instituted color change in the new OS. But I think what they both mutually disagree with Frederick on is how the colors change. So in Frederick's OS, when you rotate the lightsaber in color changing mode, it changes colors. And Fernando and Matt McGrory both, Fernando likes just being able to change colors by pressing the button, where Matt McGrory likes to swing. My guess is Matt's going to maintain a fork that'll use how Frederick implemented color change, but will allow you to color change with either a button press like Fernando wants, or to swing the saber to change colors, which I happen to like. I think swinging the saber to change color is pretty cool. You put it in color changing mode and swing it till it's the color you want, and then you set it in. Bada bing, no muss, no fuss. The problem with rotating it through the colors is sometimes it's hard to select that particular color, especially like if it depends on how many degrees you have to rotate to get to those colors. So I don't know. I still think that Matt will have one. Do you think that Frederick's feeling as if others are taking over his operating system? Peter asked. No. That is the beauty of open source. Frederick designed his operating system and published it on, I forget the name of the website where all the forks are published, but it's all open source stuff. And he does it there so other engineers can see it and modify it to their own liking and make their own forks or versions of his operating system. So in other words, Matt McGrory's fork is still, for the most part, it's still Frederick's operating system, but Matt put some tweaks on how that operating system functions. So the forks that like Matt McGrory has made and others have made. I mean, Matt's not the only guy running forks on Frederick's OS. You have Profi OS Ultra, Alex Redmond, he's running forks. Boyko Kazakov, Boinkner on TRA, he's running forks. And what happens is when these guys make these forks and they're doing their tweaks, Frederick can see what they're doing. And if Frederick likes what they have done, he can adapt that into the OS. And a lot of times these guys, when they're making forks, they're actually finding and fixing glitches and errors in the system. And that's why it's so hard to keep up with the Profi OS, because there's, with Plector Labs, and this is no offense to Plector Labs. I mean, Plector Labs is still, a god in the lightsaber soundboard community. But with Plector Labs, you have Irv and maybe a couple of guys working on his operating system. In open source community, the reason that changes are happening so fast, and sometimes for guys like me, I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep up with all these changes because they're happening so fast. Well, that's because the way open source works with the operating systems, you can have 50, 60, 100 people all throwing stuff into the OS that works. And it just depends on how much of that Frederick decides to implement into his main OS as to how many new functions you're going to get. So the latest upgrade, which is now in beta, I think they're on 3.2 or 3.3 now in beta testing. And the operating system that I'm installing on Sabers right now is still 2.6 Matt McGreary's fork. And probably for now, I'm going to stick to 2.6 Matt McGreary's fork because I haven't had time to test or anything else on Frederick's new 3.2 operating system. I'm sure Frederick's pissed at me because normally, I do a lot of testing for Frederick. So this saber right here, this is usually the saber that I help Frederick do most of the testing in. And the reason is because, it's really easy for me to get access to the Profi and to the now I have this board insulated for the tree hit test, so I got some tape and stuff on it right now, but let me get the tape off so you guys can see. So there's the Profi in my Dark Force Sabers Transcendence. So, it's easy for me to get to the programming port and the SD card to make the changes on this saber so that I'm going to put that tape back over it in case I decide to whack on any more trees. But yeah, I feel bad because normally I help Frederick test his new versions of the operating systems, and I feel bad that I haven't been able to help him test out on 3.0 and 3.2 and 3.3, and it's mainly because I got promoted at work. I'm in a position of a lot more responsibility. I get called out in the middle of the night all the time, and I have a new girlfriend. I'm trying to sell my house right now. And for any of y'all that are, want me to install a saber and you're angry because it's impossible to get me to install your saber, everybody just relax. Right now I'm in major life limbo, so that's why I haven't taken on a gazillion hilts because I just don't have the time to install people's sabers right now. But once I sell this house and move into a new house, and it looks like I'm in for major life changes up ahead, like maybe even marriage. Who knows? We'll see if Jen watches this. But I want to get back to installing sabers a little bit more furiously. I also want to get back into doing some more of the tutorial vids because all my tutorials are getting to be where they're out of date. But that's it. I hope I explained that. Oh yeah, I know. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, she's a great girl. I'm getting ready to go see her now because my Profi 2.2s are at her house. So I have to drive to the other side of town so I can get my Profi 2.2s that I need to install these sabers tonight. So probably going to put a 1.5 in the crossguard and a 2.2 in the Star Killer, just because. The 1.5 will be pretty easy to get into to turn it off. The crossguard, so 1.5 works fine in the crossguard. The Star Killer, I think, would be better off with a 2.2. So I think this saber is going to be getting a 2.2 under the hatch, under the hood. The 2.2 will fit right here. And then I think I'm going to put some NeoPixel accents right here. It's going to be cool. Yeah, the new position at work carries with it a lot of responsibility. I'm looking forward to, I'm close to retirement. I've been doing my job now for 25 years, and 4 more years, about a little bit more than 4 years. December of 2024, I'm going to be retiring from my current job, and I'm looking forward to it. My current job's very stressful, and you know, I'll leave that for another time because we're about an hour into this video. So next Monday, stay tuned, and we'll talk about what the hell do I do this for? What enjoyment can I possibly get out of melting metal onto wires on circuit boards? And I'll talk about why this is good for me and why it works for me. And also in the next video, somebody remind me to talk a little bit about these. So for those of you in the 501st Legion, if you know about Micom, guess who makes these? Me. So if any of y'all seen a Micom in action, I basically design the Micoms and I build all the Micoms, and we just finished. Well, we got 2 more units to sell, or 3, on our last run of 40. We have another batch of 20 that's going to be for sale starting soon, and hopefully get those out before the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker. So I think I'm going to cut it, because I got to go to Jen Jen's house and pick up my 2.2s so I can get to work on installing these sabers tonight. Y'all be watching my channel, 8:30. That new video drops. It's very short. It's 8:30. Aloha, Peter. Have a great day. I will be safe on the road. I'm driving over to my girlfriend's house. I get to see Jen Jen, so I'm pretty excited about seeing Jen Jen. Yeah, life is really good right now, and I think it's fixing to get better. And you guys stick with me, and hopefully we'll be making some more videos to help you guys along. I don't want to keep any of this a secret. I want to tell you guys what I do and show you what I do, because if you can solder, you can do this too. There is nothing difficult about building sabers. I'm a public servant. I'm a municipal employee. Ponder that for a bit. All you got to do is Google me. You'll find out what I do for a living. But at any rate, we won't talk about it on this video. We will talk about it on the next one. So we're going to be signing off for tonight. May the force be with you all, or the dark side, as it were. See you, Tim.